It took me about 10 months to finish reading this book. The second I finished reading Sapiens, I knew that I have to read Homo Deus. Homo Deus explains how humans became the dominant species and attempts to paint a picture of the future. It's a thought-provoking non-fiction which explores the impact of development on societies. It explains that Homo sapiens have focused mostly on surpassing three obstacles, namely famine, disease, and war. Now that we have surpassed these, what will be the main aim of Homo sapiens? To be Homo Deus, human gods, and the AI and everything. It took me 10 months to finish reading this book, and I had more than 2 hours of discussion about it with my brother. It makes you question your beliefs and think beyond. It talks about history but doesn't bore you out. The writing is top notch. It explains how data will be the new religion. I highly recommend this to anyone. This book was my grounding book. Whenever I felt like I need to read something, I know that I want to read something but didn't know which one to pick up. I was not in the mood of fiction. I was not in the mood of some self-help book. I wanted something normal, I guess. And this book just has that vibe. I cannot explain it. I am unable to explain it. But this book literally has that vibe that I was looking for. Just keep me grounding. I can just turn back to it no matter what my emotional state was. I didn't have to be invested mentally. I was emotionally distant from the book, so nothing messing up my emotions. So this book was my go-to book every time when I want to read. But still 10 months I did not read every single day whenever I felt like reading. It's very great the way the author has written it. I'm sorry I cannot pronounce his name. The way he has written is incredible. It doesn't feel like you are reading a history book or a non-fiction book. The way he connects and the examples, mind-blowing. The examples are great. The author is the person with whom I would like to have a chat, just on tea or something, just a random discussion. I felt the same for Sapien as well. Sapien and Homo Deus both share the same vibe. They have great examples in them, and the way just lays out. Everything is just interlinked. You have everything going on. It's not just history, it's sociology, it's physiology, it's psychology, it's philosophy. It's a mixture of everything. It's like practical application of what we did in college, what we did in universities. That was marvelous. Highly recommend it. Though she's fat, though it takes you forever to read this, but I know that for sure you won't regret reading it, and you will obviously feel smarter after reading that book. That's for sure. I learned a lot about AI. The fact that amazes me the most is that this book was published in 2015. After 9 years of the publication, I can already see many things happening. The things that he said in the book that would happen in the future are happening, and it was so amazing. Not ChatGPT, AI, Google, how we are being how we are being controlled, how we are being observed without even being observed, I guess. How everyone is just documenting their life. There were just so many points that I would like to discuss. Every single page, every single chapter of this book. Really, if I had someone with me, after each chapter I would have hours of discussion about it. But unfortunately, I didn't have such a person. So once I finished reading that book, I discussed the book with my brother, and it was so amazing, so marvelous. I was saying him the things that were explained in the book, and my brother was saying the real life examples of that happening. And that connection, that overlap, that gray zone was so amazing. It was so marvelous. The experience is enthralling. Though it's non-fiction and sounds like a boring book, but it's not. Okay, the way he writes, there is a little humor, the intelligent humor which I like. With a little sense of humor. I like that sense of humor. So amazing the way it was all laid out, and the way it feels like a sequence to Homo sapiens. Though you can read this directly without even reading Homo sapiens, but I would recommend you to read Homo sapiens before you get into it, so just you have a little more deeper knowledge about the history. Because in this book, he doesn't go into depths of the history that already been spoken into Sapiens. He just gives overview in the topics related to that. So the main thing that impressed me was Dataism, how the data will be the new religion. That's the topic that I was immensely invested in it. Here are my favorite quotes. Depicting the others as subhuman beasts was a first step towards treating them as such. History isn't a single narrative, but thousands of alternative narratives. Whenever we choose to tell one, we are also choosing to silence others. What is death if not a condition in which information doesn't flow? In ancient times, having power meant having access to data. Today, having power means knowing what to ignore. This book made me question my beliefs, not just in terms of religions, but in terms of technology, in terms of sociology, in terms of just philosophical questions, philosophical beliefs that I had. This book had an impact on me, and I can literally say that I have not been the same person. I have changed. This book literally changed me. I am not the same as I was before reading this book. So I highly recommend this. If you did end up reading this book, then we can discuss the last 3 questions in the book in the comment section below. I would really like to have a discussion about those. So if anyone has already finished reading this book, get in the comments right now. I literally want to discuss this book with someone and I have no one to discuss it with. Okay, so yeah. Thank you.